In a world where two retired vets decided their phone conversations about WWE and storylines would make a good podcast, only one podcast dares to predict the future, where every move, every feud, every moment is overanalyzed. Grab your number 2 pencils. Get ready to step into the squared circle. This is your front row seat to the storylines as you wish they were written. Welcome to the If We Had the Pencil podcast. Here are your hosts, Sean Green and Matt Jackson.
Welcome to this week's edition of If We Had the Pencil podcast. I'm Sean, having technical issues, Green, and with me as always is my tag team partner, Matt, Florida Man Jackson. What's going on, brother?
Good, man. All's good down in the Sunshine State.
Yep. Hey, rocking out weekend for wrestling this weekend, man. Smackdown, the wrestling was off the chain last night. The storytelling was awesome. Like, no complaints from me this week. They're setting up for Perth real nice.
Yes, and that's a solid card coming up for Saturday morning for us. So, no, really good shows over the weekend. And great crowd in Dallas last night. Cincy was all right, but Dallas showed up last night.
It was a good crowd. There was some times, though, where I was like, can you guys get a little into it more? But they were just taking it in. It was great. But
I think because some of the storyline telling in Raw was so engrossing, it was edge of your seat. I think they weren't trying to sit on their hands. I just think they were so involved with the story, it kind of made them sit and pay attention. So, yeah. Anyway, but we'll get to all that in this podcast.
Yep. And then one admin note. So, I guess I saw online today that Santos Escobar didn't renew his deal, but Xavier Woods did. So Xavier Woods is locked up on a multi-year deal, and Santos Escobar is out. So very interesting.
Does Las Casas stand alone? What do they do?
I actually have that in my notes when we talk about them. I actually had does this mean they're their own thing now? Which is fine. I think they're getting a lot more run now with the AAA, mixing it up stuff. So not going to complain too much about it, but let's dive in. We got a lot to talk about. It's a preview show, so we're going to have to make picks. So let's just dive into SmackDown. So, SmackDown kicks off with Cody. Paul Heyman comes out, and the biggest takeaway I had from this is Paul Heyman's already planting the seeds for that eventual Orton flip. We've been calling for this forever. We know it's coming eventually. It's one of the best stories Cody will have. I don't know if you uncork it now, because you probably save that for the lead up to WrestleMania. But yeah, it's coming. It is definitely coming.
No, Paul's so planting the seeds. WWE has done a really good job in storylines where they'll go back 6 or 9 months and show one little minute thing, and this could be a catalyst for next year, early 2026, when stuff gets ready to kick off. You can look back to this promo by Paul as what kind of started the whole shebang. So,
for sure. I mean, we've been getting teasers with it. I'm going to talk about teasers a little later because, I do think that it's important to keep in mind that, WWE likes to plant seeds, but they slow grow them and they let them go for a while. Not everything's like a quick flash to bang, we got to have this ready for the next PLE, right? It's kind of they'll drop the seed and they'll give you a hint. We'll talk about it because I don't want to get ahead of myself. So Carmelo Hayes comes out. Him and The Miz are on the outs. And my first note is, if you didn't see that ambush coming on the ramp, you haven't watched WWE ever. It was the most predictable ambush of ambushes. So it's good stuff. But I do think it's time for Hayes to get a shot at Sammy. I think they're saving it for a bigger event, so maybe Survivor Series? Maybe that's where we get that match. I mean, maybe we'll get PLE quality, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hayes goes over, but again, Sammy's been doing great work with this, and I'm not going to complain about it. But Hayes is going to have to close out The Miz first before he moves on to Sammy. So we have time. You know
I
what
have
I
an
mean?
idea. You have Hayes take the title off Zayn at Cena's last night on Saturday night's main event. So great way to, in the first half of the show, you have that title change, and then you book it in at the end with the farewell Cena match, and I'm sure post match stuff. So I think that could be a good time to do it, and it actually buys you what, another 3 weeks or 4 weeks to build
Yeah.
stuff up. So that'd be to me, I think that'd be a good spot to put that in if you're going to give Hayes the U.S. title, and it gives more open challenges for Sammy to do that he's done so well at. So,
Yep.
and finally,
Well,
like it's
since
just come to that point. He's had so many challenges. He fought so much. He was ripe for the picking. So you do it in December.
yeah, and I'm fine with that. But I don't have a problem. I'll keep on saying it. I don't have a problem with him right now. It's less is more, Sammy, right?
Yeah.
We're getting him in the ring. He's doing great matches. We don't have the Super Sammy right now, which is huge for me. Because, like, sometimes I feel like he was always such an underdog that he'd get his ass whooped. And then it's like, bro, come on, man. Come on. You know, you're going to have to stay down at some point, right? Like, but no, less is more. He's been putting on awesome matches. And this match that he ends up having with Aleister Black, because Hayes got laid out, you know, Aleister Black decides to take up the challenge. And man, they were selling hard for each other. Great selling in that match. Great execution, too. There was a lot of great stuff in that match for both of them.
And then you had Priest come in, and it saves Aleister Black from eating a loss or whatever. So, yeah. Well, I mean, Sammy does go over, but Priest coming out and distracts Black doesn't make the loss look so big than if he got pinned clean. So there was shenanigans. But
And I
yeah,
like they haven't turned that off. Like, I like that that's still going. And those two got good chemistry as well. So after that, we go into the contract signing for Tiffany Stratton and Fakir. You know, Julia comes out with Katana with James, and I want to get hyped for this match, but I think Fakir goes over, and Tiffy time is the watch is running out of battery juice. I don't know. I'm not feeling it right now, and like I don't know if it's just recycled opponents, the constantly like going up against like the Nia Jaxes and the Jades of the world, which ironically enough, we haven't seen those two very much
no, I
since
was
their match,
I was telling you.
since
Well, obviously Jade.
Bacharama.
Yeah, well, Jade's obviously probably had to have some plastic surgery, but yeah,
Well,
Nia, you haven't seen her, you haven't heard her, not a word. So I wonder if she's in the doghouse, and
it's
we'll
hard.
find out this. I didn't even look to see if that same referee that refereed the Botch Fest worked that night, and I should have made a note of it. But
Yeah, and what's funny too, I don't mind Julia getting involved. They're trying to recruit Vakir, and I get all that, but I don't know. Like Julia needs to start having her own defenses and her own story right now before she starts poking around the world championships. So
she's not
we'll
even
see.
defending her title hardly.
Yeah, and I got a beef with that because her title and both sets of tag titles have kind of fallen off the map. Like other than being a prop for Judgment Day, the tag team titles on Raw, I don't know. They really haven't been defended, and it's like if you're gonna make them wrestle, let's make those titles. Let's get those titles on the line, or I don't know. It's starting to annoy me a little bit, and I get you also got to keep in mind Crown Jewel's like one of those weird ones where it's like a meaningful event, but it's also a exhibition. It's just weird, So like I'm biting my tongue until we get past Crown Jewel and start working our way to the Survivor Series. So I'll let it ride.
Well, let's ride it.
So as we mentioned earlier, with Santos Escobar gone now, Los Garza has a match with Ray Phoenix and Javon Evans. And we get to see Evans again, who he's extremely talented. And Matt, you were talking about, like, before we started recording, like how you're not ready for him to be a regular. You just want him to kind of keep on dipping his toes into the roster every now and again.
I think athletically and his in-ring talent, I think he's ready. But when I say he's not ready and don't bring him up full time is like they have to find a story for him. So here's my proposition if I had the pencil. You bring up Javon in dribs and drabs. Carmelo deals with The Miz. Carmelo in December wins the U.S. title. You start the beginning of the year, you bring Javon back. And then WrestleMania, you could have Javon Evans and Carmelo Hayes at WrestleMania for the U.S. title. And then you just got a spot fest. So I think by early next year I'd bring him up. But I think you get Hazy, the U.S. title, and then they end up having a match at WrestleMania. Whether or
Do you
not
think
Javon...
he kind of hits the more regular after Royal Rumble? That
Yes.
seems to be where,
Yes.
like, they...
Yeah,
oh my
and
God, he's in Rumble.
No, I mentioned last week, too, like, I really don't want to see him until we see him, like, in the Rumble. And then when the Rumble, something can happen with him and Carmelo Hayes, and it builds up, and then you have the match at WrestleMania, which I think would be fantastic. It would be a great match. So if you got 2 nights to fill, that's a great match to put on one of the nights.
I agree. Close out the show. We get the Bronze. We get Cody. We get Randy. And, you know, I was following a thread. So, like, what I like to do is certain things that pique my interest. So, Braun Breaker, you know, doing, you know, sorry, wrong one. But there's a clip of Braun Breaker out there, and he's doing the Jey Uso, like, roll it back from his match with the Usos. Bro, I was dying. That guy is such a good shit talker in the ring, man. And his antics, too. It's just so good. But some people don't like it. They don't get it. And I'm like...
No, it's not stopped. Like, there's times where he won't do it, like, when he's selling. But, like, as soon as he's on top, if he's, like, especially if he's got, like, a rear chin lock and he's riding his opponent, he's just talking trash in his ear. And then when he's throwing punches, got him in the corner, like Terry Funk used to do that all the time. Like, very loud and very colorful. Everybody was an SOB or egg-sucking dog, but, like, Terry Funk would always be, like, yelling throughout his match and just talking crap. So, what I like how Braun does it, he throws a little bit of his Uncle Scott in there when he gets talking. He says stuff like Scott used to say. So, he always finds a way to tribute his father and his uncle, like, somehow in his matches. You know,
no, and it's fine. It's part of who he is. So,
yeah,
like,
it's
I don't
great.
have a problem with it.
It's great, though. Yeah. And I'm really starting to really dig Bronson Reed a lot.
I'm feeling them. I'm feeling both of them, which means the vision is working for them. So, like, no complaints whatsoever.
No.
You
And
know,
you got
and
Cody and Randy stuff. They didn't tease anything, really, from what I
no,
saw.
but I mean, this is more about Seth right now. Right, like the, you know, Cody's in Seth's head stuff. We'll get into it more because Monday Night Raw really started selling stuff for this. But, like, you know, Seth goes to the well one too many times with the stomp and all this other stuff, and it's like, yeah, you know, and it's fine.
The key is what Paul Heyman was trying to do to keep
Like,
Seth
don't go
out of the
back
ring.
in.
Don't go back in. It's like it's not going to end well, I think he said, or end good. He said something to that effect, and I'm like, that's important because, like,
Yeah, it is, but
and I want to
we'll get
save
into
some
it.
other stuff, because I got more to say about Paul.
But we're gonna
Getting
ramble
rough.
on a little bit, you know, once we get to Raw. But like I said, SmackDown was solid, man.
Yes, it was.
It's solid. The wrestling was good. It was just a solid show. I don't think we got a ton of storyline progression from SmackDown right now, which lends me to what I'm about to say, which is right now Raw is the premier show of the two. I don't know if they just kind of ebb and flow between the two depending on time of year, but definitely Raw's on point. Or Raw's a little notch ahead of SmackDown right now. I think you're getting good wrestling on SmackDown, but you're getting great storytelling on Raw lately.
And I think that's why Michael Cole is a SmackDown, because they're trying to even the brands. I don't know.
You can keep Barrett. I'll trade Tessitore. He was getting on my nerves last night, too.
Yeah, last several weeks. Real quick before we get into Raw, though, I do want to say Wade Barrett and we've talked about on this show, and I tell you, like in text messages when we BS on the phone, like sometimes like Wade Barrett just gets me so mad because he says the dumbest stuff, and then some nights he just finds it, and I'll talk about it more when we talk about Raw. But last night was like Wade Barrett was great, like all night, like he made sense. He got emotionally invested.
It's funny you say that because Booker T as an announcer is kind of like that too, right? There'll be times where Booker T, and he kind of goes more with the emotional angle, so like I get it, but he's kind of the same deal, right? Like there's sometimes you're just like, please shut the F up. And then there's other times where you're like, okay, cool, he gave you context. Yeah. And like, you know, I don't know. Like I've found a higher time. I don't mind either of them. I like that they're both on color. So, you know, I'm good with it. But yeah. Anything else on SmackDown? Let's get into Raw, man. We're gonna just chug along here. Chugga chugga yes, chugga.
Choo choo.
Okay. The Polar Express. Movie reference. Woo! Check. It has nothing to do with nothing.
No.
I mentioned a train movie.
Real quick, speaking of nothing to do with nothing, I have to say it because I am a huge fan, but Rush is back together. They're touring next year. I watched some footage today of the female drummer they got from Germany. I forget her name. She is incredible. So I know it's a short tour, but just the fact that Getty and Alex are coming out to do it one more time, I think is awesome. So yeah, I've had between the wrestling on the weekend, my Patriots winning Sunday night. Sorry, Sean. And like Rush getting back together, like things are good.
Yeah, it's all gravy.
No complaints.
You know what? I still woke up this morning. I still had a job. The Bills lost, but you know what? I had a hell of a tailgate. You know, so and we were pretty bougie on the setup. I'm not gonna lie. We had TV going in the whole nine.
Yep. No, I saw the photos. No, it was cool. Real quick. And we're going to get back to Raw because we're trying to keep under a certain time.
Hey, we can deviate because I listened to Busted Open this morning. You want to talk about being all over the map this morning? Nelly. They were everywhere. Deviating, talking movie. They were talking movies, so credit to them.
Yeah, and they talk about music and stuff on the show. I've heard them. Yeah, sometimes they go about 10, 15 minutes, and then like Mark Henry like tries to pull him back if he's on.
Well, today it was LaGreca and Nick Nemeth. So
yeah, but
they had Shotzi call in at one point, but it was good. It was good stuff. There's it's spooky season, so obviously talking horror films, which is not my genre. So yeah, I'm out. You won't hear a lot of scary movie like references outside of like Scary Movie, which is obviously a comedy, and you know,
I think my wife and I we have a problem. Because we go on Netflix now and we go right to the horror, and we're like, watch that, watch that, watch that, watch that. Damn it. All right, let's go to series. Like, So, yeah. So, yeah. Definitely yin and yang there. But, yeah, I love a good horror.
For sure, because I'll smoke your ass in sci-fi movies. So
you will, yeah. You definitely. I'm not a huge Marvel guy or sci-fi. Certain. Yeah, you are.
Hey, man. All right. I grew up in the Star Wars, Star Trek era, man. I grew up good, and I grew up watching, like, Battlestar Galactica and Syndication, so... And the original Star Trek.
No, I saw all the old Star Wars movies in theaters, and, like, Star Trek and Close Encounters. I just wasn't heavy into it, but on Saturday... So every Saturday, after wrestling was over, they would go right into the Creature double feature. And it was always like these two, like, you know, goofy old horror movies from like the 50s or 60s, like a giant spider that devours the city or whatever. But
you know how I got to see a lot of those? I used to watch Mystery Science Theater 3000, and they'd have all those old crappy movies.
Those were the movies they would show. It was awesome. So yeah, man, I wish if I could find a time travel machine, I'd go back to about 1982.
I wouldn't go that far back, but there's definitely some stuff.
I wanted to be there so like I could boo Hogan when like he wins the title from the Sheik, which is actually early '84. But there's a couple.
All right, cool. Yeah. We're back into the wrestling world. Let's talk Raw.
All right,
Roman Reigns is obviously done filming because now he's doing wrestling things, and he opened up Raw, and I'm sticking by this statement, so help me God, he is an effing heel. I saw arguments this weekend saying that he was like a tweener. I don't see him as a tweener. He's a heel.
Sean, my first note from Raw is Roman is still a dick.
Yep.
He hasn't changed. He's not reformed or anything. He still thinks he's better than everybody else, and that's okay.
It's fine, but don't let the crowd pop fool you into thinking that he's a face.
Yeah, he's not.
And that's really the thing. No, he's a heel. We'll get into it. I don't want to get ahead of it. I mean, really, all this opening segment really did was set up the Australian street fight with him and Bronson Reed. And we'll talk about it when we get into predictions.
I think Australian street fight is probably the same rules as Chicago street fight, as a Texas street fight, as a, I don't know.
It's a no holds barred match. How many ways can we rename a match?
Let's see. We're in Australian. Yeah.
He's swinging koala bears and beating the crap out of freaking Roman Reigns with koala bears and kangaroos. Now that's something.
Well, as long as Mr. Iguana better hide then, because he could get smashed up. Yeah.
That's fine. So it did what it did. So after that, we get Maxine and Becky. I have a very strong opinion. I've said it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm going to say it again. If you have the opinion that it's Becky Hogan or that she doesn't put people over, you need to go back and rewatch her matches. She made Nikki Bella look serviceable. She made AJ Lee's return so good. And then, you know what? She made it so Maxine Dupree had the best match she's ever had in WWE. Ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was all Becky. That's the common denominator here. That's it, and I'm you can tell Maxine Dupree has been putting in the work. So I want to put her over too. And then we get this little fast count from the referee, and it's like, ooh, okay. And keep in mind, New Day had an issue with Jessica Carr. This is twice now that Becky has had an issue with Jessica Carr. So it's real interesting now that there's like some friction between Jessica Carr and Becky Lynch. So
this is cool.
Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. No, going to Becky, she just gave so much to Maxine that match. She let her have all her big spots. And what I liked about Becky was she was patient while she was in there. Because Maxine, like, we were talking back and forth last night, and you said, she was serviceable, and I said that I see a major improvement. Like, was a major improvement last night.
The major improvement is she's serviceable.
Right.
She had flow to her match. Like,
right.
In her previous incarnations where she came out, it was like she'd get a move or two in, but it was real clunky. It didn't feel clunky last night.
No.
It had a little bit of a flow. She got more in than I've ever seen her get in. So, again,
and Becky was very patient, because I noticed a couple times, like, she would have Maxine in the corner, and she would ride up really close, so you knew she was talking to her. I think she was just like nice and slow, or hey, just keep doing what you're doing, relax, have fun, and then, let's roll through this spot. And then she called the spot. They were in the corner for a long time, and I'm like, she's having a conversation with her. Like, she's just not saying, Irish reversal, whatever. She was kind of coaching her through that match. So really classy move by Becky. And then she still plays the crazy, ranting, disgruntled heel. Like, she's fantastic.
It did. Not to get ahead of myself, but it did make me laugh my ass off later on while Seth is having this existential crisis and she's just losing her shit in the backstage segment.
He's just looking at his the watch that Cody gave him, the WrestleMania Rolex. And, yeah, I mean, that's twice that they've done that.
I know, it's just funny,
it is,
and I think later on it'll play in. I think later on he
gave her a look when she left, he's finally get out of here.
Yeah, I ain't got time for this shit. So normally we don't talk a lot about backstage segments, but this episode of Raw was so heavy on storytelling. So the first backstage we get Asuka, we get Kyrie, and Asuka pretty much slapped the taste out of Kyrie Sane's mouth during this segment. Yeah, it's I'll stick to my guns on this, that this story of this, the Kabuki Warriors, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, this story is all about Kyrie Sane. This is all about Kyrie Sane. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when Kyrie is going to turn on Asuka. And it's probably going to happen at some point where there's a match between Asuka and Io, and they're going to go. It's going to get to the point where Asuka wants to do serious damage, and Kyrie's going to have to flip on her to save Io. I really think that's where this is going.
I don't want it to happen Saturday, though. That's too
No,
soon.
but this ties into what I was saying
you
earlier.
were. I'm saying, like, there's even a time where Carrie jumps in, and she's actually can be as vicious as Asuka until Asuka goes too far, and then Kyrie realizes that I can't do that. I've been played. It could go.
But
for
like
a
I
little while.
said, this is where I talk about these little seeds, right?
Yep.
Like, they've planted this seed for a while. Everybody knows in their heart of hearts that Kyrie's going to flip on her, but she's still dragging it out. We'll talk about it a little when we get to the Kyrie Io match, but it's just important to keep that in context. But after that we get Lyra and Perez. Okay, this one was about Bailey. Just kind of cheering on. The Bailey character is really effing weird.
Yeah.
I like it.
I do too.
It's different for her, so I like it. But, her dragging Lyra off like we're not done. We still have business to take care of type deal. And I was like, okay, I feel you. She's kind of playing this triple-headed monster right now, and it's kind of cool. It's different. It's different from everybody else, right? I really do like it.
They look like they're starting to turn the Bailey character in a way where Lyra doesn't set her off anymore. Like, she's able to semi-control it towards Lyra, but maybe not so much towards anyone else.
I don't know. I really don't know.
That would be kind of an interesting twist. Like, after all this, she's able to control her emotions for Lyra, like, because she wants now she can protect Lyra, or that's my friend. But anybody that's a threat, she gets so emotionally whacked out she can't control herself. So,
see, I wouldn't have Lyra. I wouldn't have Lyra reel her in, though. Really, what I would have is like this week she helped Lyra.
Yeah.
And then, like, next week she'll turn on Lyra, and then. You know what I mean? Kind of working through those three phases, and depending on the week, that's the face that gets priority. Does that make sense? Like, you'll see all three, but one is more dominant that week. So, like, this one is kind of the more aggressive, we got to get payback, so the more heelish one. And then, like, another week we'll get, like, more happy hugger type deal. So, I don't know.
I'm just wondering.
I'm letting them play with it. I'm just riding that train.
No, it's fun. I just wonder if at some point, because I kind of like Lyra and Bailey running together right now. So they could have their little spats, but I want to think like maybe Bailey's better around Lyra, but everybody else, she's just whatever mood hits her, I guess. I don't know. But no, it's fun.
I know. Yeah. All right. So CM Punk comes out. Obviously, Roman's whispering in Jay's ear at some point. There was a lot of Roman throughout this thing, which is a good thing. But I don't think we're getting... The problem is, I don't want to slam this, because what the work Roman's doing is good, but Roman isn't really advancing his story so much lately. He's advancing Jay's and kind of Jimmy's by proxy. But... him getting into his ear again and just kind of, like one of those wind-up toys. You know what I mean? He's like winding up Jay and like, go get him, Tiger, and, launching him. I mean, not that simplistic, but you get my point, right?
And what I like what Roman does too is like Jay says something off the wall, and even Roman looks at him like, what are you talking about? Like, So you're thinking, makes me think like, is there something that Roman doesn't like about? Maybe Jay's trying too hard to be Roman, and that Roman doesn't like it, but he won't say it. But he's still got to find a way to kind of let Jimmy know. And I like the fact that Jimmy stood up to Roman backstage. Like he stood up to him man to man. He didn't cower to Roman. Like Jimmy's much better as kind of more of a stand up guy.
I got more notes on that, and
Okay.
it comes in this segment. So, like, here's a hot take for you, Matt. Punk underwhelms me. I don't know, man. I know a lot of people love him, but I don't know, man. It like he came out and started cutting promo, and I was just like, and Knight came out. Knight, honestly, the last month and a half, 2 months, has really been kind of on a whole new level for him. Like he's really upped his game, and he's been solid. And I'm not saying he's better than Punk or anything like that, but this promo, like people said the dig on him that like he didn't have a championship. They're like, "Oh, Punk cooked him," and I'm like, "Not really," because he was like, "Hey, out of all y'all, the only person that Seth hasn't pinned is me," and I felt that was a much more powerful statement, especially because when you look at the dynamic between Punk and Seth, Punk is the one that's always kind of, Seth's always there to kind of crash his party, but Knight was just dropping truths, man.
Yeah, no,
And
it
this
was a
segment, it was
great
about
promo.
two people. Two people this segment was about. It was about Jay and it was about LA Knight. So, it Punk was the facilitator. Obviously Jay's story is about him slowly becoming Roman. And I have in my notes, it better backfire. Because I think it's lazy writing if he just goes all the way, right? I gotta read my note out because it sounded better in my head, but I was like, if I'm WWE, when Jay comes to his senses, this needs to be Jay pointing out that Roman lost everything because of his attitude. The only reason he has backup is his family ties. And then I also put Roman is still a heel.
Yep.
And I think there's some validity in that. I think that you take Jay up to the precipice, but you don't let him jump off the cliff, right? And I think that at some point, I know people like Roman as is, right? But eventually it becomes tired. You know what I'm saying? Like if we're going to get lather, rinse, repeat Roman, I'm not down for that. And I think Roman's got a lot of potential, but I've been asking, praying, jumping up and down for a redemption arc on Roman. And now people are like, he's a tweener. No, he's a full blown heel because he isn't doing anything different. You know what I mean? He's
It's
still
just
talking he's talking like he's the king of all Samoans, not a tribal chief, just the king of all Samoans. Because he dropped a line when he was talking to Bronson Reed, like, you know, just start doing what I tell you to do. And it's like, bro, he ain't from your tribe. He's from, it's like, you ain't the king of all Samoans there. You got a tribe, tribal chief. You're in charge of your little community, So I don't know. Maybe I'm
unless,
reading too much into it,
or
but
maybe it's something that was put in intentional that's gonna grow to fruition later. Roman's ego. Maybe he really does think he's the king of
well,
all Samoans.
and I think that you really can, like I said, there's a lot of good storytelling to be told. Obviously, it'll be him being like you got to do it like me because that's the only way it works. And you got to be a dick and you got to only worry about number one, blah, 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 blah. And like, I don't know, dude. Like, because if you stop and think about like Roman, the only reason he keeps on getting backup is strictly family ties. Nobody likes him. Jimmy's still pissed at him. You can tell that from the promos, you know? And I would like to see Roman push a little too far. And finally we get another, like the breakup of the bloodline when the Usos left to just be like, nah, dude, we can't do this. We're not going down this road again.
Yeah, I mean, even in the
You know,
promo, LA Knight and CM Punk both told the Usos like they should focus on being a tag team. So they kind of addressed it in their own way. So I think that was
I don't need
important.
them to go back to being a tag team. I did like Punk's line that, he likes Jey Uso, he doesn't like Little Roman.
Yeah,
And
that
I
was a
was
good
like,
line.
that was a good line, so credit to him on that. And, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun story. I don't have a problem with it, but yeah.
Yeah, but
So
getting back to Roman talking about being the king of Samoans, Bronson Reed had a really strong bit in the opening promo where, I mean, he talked about Alpha and Roman's father Sika and his uncle Alpha, and that they never got stretchered out, and I don't know if it's true or not, but it's great for the
it
story,
was good though.
right? And then like what are they thinking? What were they thinking looking down at you? And I'm like, oh, that's so because now I'm like
Yeah, it was good.
I even looked at Christy. I'm like, I said, they just made this personal, so it's going to add more to the match. That's why you got the stipulation. You had to make it more personal to make this great, never heard of Australian street fight.
That's going to look like any other street fight.
Yeah,
All right. So
yeah.
after all
Tables
this
and trash cans
greatness,
and kendo sticks. Oh my!
there will definitely be kendo sticks. All right. After that, we get a backstage segment. AJ Styles. Man, I got to be careful. There's two AJs now. Screws me up.
I
And
know.
Dragon
Even
Lee.
Tessitore screwed up and called AJ Styles AJ Lee.
So AJ Styles and Dragon Lee trying to find their third person, for their match against Judgment Day. They go to recruit Penta, but in the background, Bailey and Lyra start beating up on Judgment Day. Nice. I like when they do the little key off stuff and kind of trickle everything in. I think that's always a good way to go.
I
And it
really,
kind of advanced the Bailey getting theirs, they're not done yet thing. So,
no, that was cool. And then a little subtle thing, and I want to see. Now we knew where it went once they had the match, but I saw Rusev arguing with Adam Pearce, and I thought, oh,
I miss that.
yeah, it's when they were walking in the back walking, and all of a sudden you just heard all this yelling. And it's Rusev yelling at Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce had a rough night last night. He got stressed out. He needs a drink.
Needs a drink.
Go on, yeah. So yeah, go on Adam Pearce's Facebook page and tell him chin up, Tiger. But no, Rusev's like yelling at him, Pierce. So that's why I texted you, and I'm like, hey, Dragon Lee, AJ, and Rusev, and you're like, oh, I want Penta, and I'm like, then I start thinking like, well, if Rusev had tagged up, like, what would you have? It would have been a interesting dynamic. So I was still really happy Penta got it, but the what if like Adam Pearce just like said, fine. You know what? AJ Styles, and I almost called him AJ Lee. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee are looking for a partner. You want Dominic? You're part of the team. Make it work, So I think that was
I think you keep Rusev just by his character, though, kind of on his own. So I think that's why you went with Penta. And, like, for reasons in my head, I was like, Penta just makes sense for this. You know what I mean? So, like, I was down. And then, all right, so we get past that. We get Io and Kyrie, and we finally get this match. Nice little match. Obviously, Asuka gets the distraction. Kyrie's elbow is so fun to watch. She does it so good. All right, let's see what I got here for notes. I got to go through this because I just riff on my keyboard and this is what comes out. I already mentioned that she's going to flip. The prevailing thought right now is Io and Rhea are probably going over. And I'm not sure. I know we said that we don't want this Kairi Sane flip to happen, but I almost wonder if the Kabuki Warriors go over, Rhea gets disabled by the mist, and she ends up out of the mix and can't protect Io. This is where you get that moment where Asuka wants to do damage to Io. Kairi Sane has to step in, and I don't know. It's just food for thought, but I don't know. I think there's an opportunity there if you wanted to pull the trigger. Whether or not you want to pull it now is a whole different story, but yeah, I think there is an opportunity there.
Yeah, and this was the match I was talking about with Wade Barrett, where Wade Barrett did a phenomenal job calling this action because there was crazy stuff in this match, and Wade's going horse, and actually Joe Test called it pretty good. I think because I think Joe Test forgot he was an announcer and just started like talking about the match and getting invested in the match. So it was a lot of fun. And again, Jessica Carr missing the Asuka interference, which was like right in front. There's no way she could have missed it. So I just wonder again, is this a storyline? But the only thing is that it is advantage to the heels. So if she's messing with people like Becky Lynch, why would she be helping out Asuka and Kairi Sane? In order to help. But look who won, Kairi Sane. So maybe she did that to protect Kairi because if she would have lost, she knows that Asuka would have treated her less than good. So who knows?
Maybe.
I'm not trying to get in any like upper level psychology BS. I'm just,
no.
What if?
No. All right. So we get the backstage of all backstages. We get Seth and Paul in the back. And of course, once you add Paul Heyman in, everything gets better. And Seth is having his identity crisis. Seth is having this, what if I lose to Cody? What happens? Heyman essentially just tells him, then you're not the guy, and I wonder why I hitched my wagon to you, which was harsh. But we all know at some point Seth is going to get pushed out of the group. But if you're pushing him out time now, it is way too early for that, in my opinion. Way too early. Like, if they push him out now, you've negated so much. So much. He'll instantaneously go into obscurity. And then, like, why did Becky join the group? Because if he's gone, she's gone. You see what I'm saying?
That's why he's not going to lose it this Saturday.
I know, but they're planting the seeds like he could. And like, let's see. All right, I'm busted open.
Paul Heyman.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. So I'm busted open. This was the talking point. And this is credit to Busted Open. This is just what I took away from Nick Nemeth and Dave LaGreca's conversation. They were talking on the show today, and they both were kind of leaning towards Cody winning because it makes a compelling story for Seth as he fights from underneath. And this is where I kind of realized, like, WWE teases stuff, but they don't necessarily pull the trigger, right? How long have we seen teasers that, like, Dominic was going to be out of the Judgment Day, right? And, like, he's still there, and they're still doing Judgment Day things. So... and that's been teased for like months, probably since Liv got hurt, honestly.
Yeah.
Even before that. So, but I think it's, if they do this, then you wasted everything from WrestleMania up to this point, in my opinion. I know it's harsh for me to say that, but if Seth loses, you just made a pointless endeavor since WrestleMania. Why? With Seth gone, then why did Paul Heyman flip? Why even have Seth in the mix? He could have just hooked on to Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, if Seth loses this to Cody and they oust him from the group, then everything from WrestleMania on, you just made pointless. Because Paul Heyman could have made the vision. You see what I'm getting at? Like, it negates all of that stuff. And honestly, Cody Rhodes ain't going to be hurt in a loss.
Oh.
And then if Seth wins, you give him so much arrogance ammo. Right? And I don't know. I think that you do a lot of damage to Seth.
Yeah.
If you take him out. If now's the time you're removing him from the vision, I don't know. I don't know what you do with him. I don't even care if he was going for revenge. I don't care.
That's why I don't think
you will destroy Seth.
I don't
think so either. But like when I hear people, especially people in the know, LaGreca's smart, Nick Nemeth is smart. When I hear them talking like this and they're like, oh, it'd be such a great story. I'm like, no, it wouldn't. It'd negate everything from WrestleMania to this point. Because you'll look at that and go, well, why was Seth even a part of this? It has no point. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point in putting Seth in that. What, you needed him there just so he could betray, so Heyman could betray CM Punk and freaking Roman Reigns?
And then the fact that to think Paul would turn his back on Seth even if he lost. Seth's still the world heavyweight champion, so.
But he already kind of intimated that that's the case.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, dude. Like, I think
the only way you could have
over.
The only way you could have Seth lose is if the Bronze came out and screwed something up and Seth lost because of the Bronze. But now you've created like internal drama in the Vision, which I don't want to see. Like, I want to see the Vision be like united, smooth sailing, always moving forward, taking over. I don't want to have to see them deal with their petty crap, which right now it's like the Bronze are just wreaking havoc. Becky's losing her mind over losing to Maxine, and we don't deserve her. And then now Seth's consumed with Cody. So to me, is it good for the faction to even be having all this going on right now so early? I mean, if Seth wins, then all's right in the world. But like, they started this right after WrestleMania. It's been like what, 5 months? We've seen the Vision, 6,
roughly.
5, 6, and you're already like
trying. WrestleMania was it April or May this year? Wasn't it late?
April. It was Easter weekend, so it was April 18th.
All right, so May, June, July, August, September, and we're just in October. So 5 months.
Yeah. So why
they just got?
That's why. I would have rather seen Seth. Like, I understand Seth wanting to win, but I don't think he had to add Paul saying all the other stuff unless it was used as a motivator. Because Paul's always
it is.
Paul is always like, when he was ECW, he'd come out with a trench coat and a hat, and he would motivate the troops and motivate the fans, the Dangerous Alliance. Heyman was always a motivator manager. Like, he would always like get inside people's head to motivate them. And maybe that's what Seth needs. Like, he's lost 3 times to Cody. I have to beat him. And then he's like, Paul's calling me out on it. And it made Paul look more powerful, too. That one segment. Paul Heyman, I texted you this last night. Paul Heyman's like the William Shakespeare of WWE. He just comes up with these great stories and one-liners. And, and he can be the goofy, silly Paul, too. But, like, when it's time for Paul to get serious and talk logic and fact, he just comes up with, like, great nuggets. Yeah. But everybody knows we love Paul Heyman.
No, I know, dude. And it's, like I said, I don't think there's any way Seth can lose this. Actually, I mean, if I had the pencil, Seth is not only winning this, I think you get a quasi-distraction from the Bronze, but they don't get involved. Like, Heyman just keeps him on the apron or something like that. So now everybody thinks that they're going to come in and, like, Seth loses, they're going to spike the shit out of him. And, like, no. They'll be there, but I don't think they have an impact on the match. Right. I think Paul holds them back. Because here's the other problem, right?
They can't interfere for Seth to win because then it's a hollow win because Seth didn't win clean. Like, Seth has to win clean. Or as clean as he...
I know. I could actually see them letting them interfere. Again, lazy writing, right?
Yeah.
Lazy writing in the sense that you let them interfere, Seth gloats because he wins, and then... somebody comes out and they go, well, technically, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, come on now. So, I don't know. They're walking a very fine line, and a lot will matter in this match. This match means a lot. And honestly, like I said, there's 2 things that stick in my craw about all this. 1, Cody goes back to SmackDown after this. Who cares? They'll have no interaction because they have no reason to be on each other's shows, right? So they're back to Seth's on Raw, Cody's on SmackDown. So obviously Cody has to have his next opponent, probably Randy, or leading up to Randy, right? Now we can get away from all this BS and move forward, and then Seth can move on to whatever he's got to do. He's still got 3 dudes vying for his championship right now. So I don't think you break him free of that. So I don't know. Well, after that, we get a Roman and Jimmy talk. And Roman's just like, ever since he won the championship, he's more like me. Like, bro, I get it. I get where they're going. I just hope they don't take the easy man out. That's all I want. Like, don't take the easy way out. Like, go up to the precipice, don't jump. is my big thing right now with this. Like, Jay should not go full blown heel, you know?
I agree.
And I don't want to say it's just because of the intro. I just think he's compelling as a face. However, I had a thought. I'm going to run this by you, Matt. So, again, directly from my notes, because I feel like when it was riffing off the top of my head, I said, interesting thought. If Paul dumps Seth, meaning if Seth loses, then maybe he grabs Jay and brings him into the fold. Right-hand man then becomes tribal chief with a wise man. Would that not be a little intriguing?
Yeah.
I don't think you do it. I thought, but my thought process was I don't think the Vision works as a two-person group. At the end of the day, I don't think it works as a two-person group at all. So, and I think Paul Heyman, even though he loves Roman Reigns still, I think Paul Heyman really can stick it to Roman by taking over, you know, bringing Jay into the fold. I don't know. It was just a random thought.
That is intriguing because you kind of bring the bloodline story back, but it's fresh. It's not stale bloodline. It'd be definitely very, you know, it'd be unique. It'd be cool. It's just, but what does it leave with?
And then
Bronson and Braun, though, that's a thing.
And that's really where it kind of makes it sticky, right? I don't think Seth can lose this match because it screws up creative for so many other people. And then I put this as well because I'm wrapped around this axle about Jay turning heel. And I don't think Jay goes heel. I feel like they take it to the brink, but as mentioned earlier, they expose Roman as a bad guy and point out that even though people has his back, it's only because of family. I said he really cares more about titles than family, though. So he uses his family as his backup only to reinforce him trying to get a title or maintain a title. Roman will have to make a sacrifice. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. So at some point, Roman is going to hit a point where they're going to be like, you care more about titles than us. And because that's the deal that he's selling to Jay right now. What he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, if you think about it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you got to worry about family. We're all family. We're all the part of the same tribe on this hand. And on this hand, he's over here going, you got to watch out for number one and get your title back. It's kind of interesting. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth, if you think about it.
It was good we saw Roman 3 times last night.
It
so much
it added to the character, and that's what you need right now. If he's legit going to be in the mix, if he's legit going to establish himself, you know, because when he was doing the pop in, sucker punch, I'm out, you know what I'm saying? It didn't really give us much.
No.
Like, there was no context. It was like, okay, Roman's back. I guess he's doing stuff, right? It's kind of like Charlotte Flair a little bit. Like, oh, look, Charlotte came back. Oh, she's in the title picture. They've done a good job without doing that, but I'm just saying, lately, but I'm just using that as an example because we've seen that. It's like, oh, she's here. Oh, you're in the title picture. So, then we get that wonderful, wonderful match of AJ Styles, Dragon Lee, Penta, and versus the Judgment Day. And my number one note, so after this match is over, AJ Styles climbs on the announcer's desk and kind of cuts a promo for his and Cena's match. Like, basically saying, we don't need a build. It's just going to be two dudes doing their thing. And I was like, I put it as, you know how, like, you say somebody's carrying the water for something? But we haven't had much water, so I was like, AJ's been carrying the droplets for this match. Because obviously Cena isn't there. There's no water to be carried. It's just droplets of water that's being carried. So,
and you don't have to have much of a story for this match. It's a dream match. You know, it's just...
Yeah, it's a fantasy booking.
Yeah.
And they've gone against each other before. And then...
Great video package.
You know what else I noticed?
They did a great video package building up that style Cena and how they fought in the past. So yeah, really.
Their production team was working overtime this week, man. They were doing good stuff.
Man,
But you know what else I noticed?
What?
Guess who's got commercials now? Penta. He's made it. He's on the Cricket Wireless commercials
Yeah,
now.
and
He's a big deal.
And he's got pyro, like extensive pyro, flames and pyro, all sorts of fun stuff.
Well, he's had pyro for a while though, but now he's got commercials.
Yeah, but they have.
So now he's a mainstay.
Yep, and he's going to be a guy.
And then
a big guy.
the moment when the three of them end up doing the Penta walk, dude, Penta's a ball of fun, man. I love that dude so much, and like he takes other people out of their zone to have fun. He did it with like the War
Raiders.
What the hell are War Raiders?
Yeah.
I was like War Raiders, Warriors. I was like running through like 6,000 names. Yeah, he did it with them. He took them out of their element and kind of had them break character and have fun. He did it with AJ and Dragon Lee last night.
Yeah,
that dude's just a ball of fun.
AJ's probably not a good dancer. For what I saw last night, I don't know how good he can cut a rug, but they were having fun. AJ, man, he looks great. This is a guy, what, pushing 50 or close to it?
He's about to go on his retirement tour.
Yeah, next year is it, right? I think he said he's retiring next year.
I think that's what he's leaning towards. So.
Yes. So yeah, but he still looks great. That was a fun match. That was a blink.
It was, but
blink
like,
and you missed it.
In my notes though, I have the same thing that I talked about earlier. Are we ever going to defend those effing tag team titles that Judgment Day has? Ever? Like, they, more so than any other title, those things have just sat there as a prop.
Yeah, and it's
annoying.
It was done with the New Day prior too, so you've had two consecutive tag teams that haven't done squat with the title.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating as hell. But, you know, again, it was a fun match. I know you had a problem with the timing of it all.
Well, that was the main event. It was the main event. That one.
But they ran long. They did run long. Even for Netflix, they ran long. Usually they're at that like 10:20 mark. And I also want to whine and complain about going back to 8 o'clock. I really like the 7 o'clock start time.
Me too.
You know, I don't know if there's a reason behind it, you know, but I missed the 7 o'clock start time. It was so good. It was like 9:30. We're wrapped up. Let's go to bed. You know, but I'm old. I'm pushing 50. Things like bed concern me. So, Matt, you got any other takes about Raw?
Yeah, the main event itself was too short, and I think they rushed it through. There wasn't not too much storytelling, and I thought there'd be more in that main event with Punk and Knight against the Usos. I think they ran out of time, and it felt rushing.
I think so too. I think they started compressing it, and it was running long, and they were feeling it, but that's okay.
I did like Knight stealing the win, though.
But yeah, that was
because it fits.
Money.
Well, Knight's a really good smartass. Like, he really does that Stone Cold smartass or Rock style smartass really good. And he did it last night, and just sneaking and like tag and steal the pin. That was
well. Hold on.
Part.
Somebody on social media had the best way of talking about this, and it was, God dang it! Now my stuff's acting up because I tried to share a screen.
Oh boy!
All right. Yep. It's all right. Hopefully it's still recording. So it just means I can't stop the recording. So we're going to get a lot of post-show stuff. So Humble Wrestling put out, he goes in reference to LA Knight. He's like, he pinned Jay and stole Punk's spotlight. I can kind of live with that, is what he said. And I was like, that is the perfect encapsulation for what happened. Knight got over on both of them by doing that. And it was a good catch by him.
Yeah, no, really
good.
So, no, it was, I mean, they stuffed a lot in that Raw. Like, I couldn't get over how much they packed in that show. Probably one of the better all-around shows of the year as far as storytelling, in-ring. I mean, just solid all the way through. Like, I mean, there was nothing that was like A+ or, you know, as far as in-ring work. But just all the storytelling together, it was a super compelling show. And really, it gets you excited for this coming weekend in Australia.
Yeah, it was good, man. it was great stuff. So, well, my goals for sharing windows is apparently like backfiring on me. I was trying to take the podcast up to an extra point here, but it doesn't want to play ball. So, that being said, we'll go back to Mr. Handy Notes, because Handy Notes always works. All right, let's start talking about Crown Jewel.
Yes.
So, Crown Jewel got, we'll just go through the matches and start making a call. Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns. Who you got?
I'm going to have to go with Roman on this one, because didn't Bronson get the last one when they splashed him?
No.
Okay.
Roman got it.
That's right.
Roman got it, got his shoes back, started signing his shoes, got speared, then got tsunami'd 6 million times.
Well, delete that crap, but yeah, because I really want to see Bronson go over. Yeah, I think it all ties.
I think he needs to.
Well, I think it can knock Roman down a peg. And maybe you could add that into the storyline between Roman and Jay, where he's trying to give Jay good advice, but meanwhile he's losing matches.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said for that. Like, I think that could go good, but yeah, we'll see. I'm going to take Bronson Reed on this one, man. I think that he needs a win. I think that what that does is it sets up Bronson, Roman 3, because then there'll be 1-1, and then you can kind of close out that chapter. And then after that third chapter, then Roman can move on to Braun Breaker. So that's just my thought process on it.
Yeah, it's important to me that the Vision doesn't lose. And if they lose, it has to be total shenanigans. So I think you got to keep the momentum on the Vision.
I agree. I think it's huge that you do that. I think that there's Roman beating Bronson Reed doesn't really do anything for Bronson Reed. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think it does much for Roman either.
No.
Like, it doesn't make it compelling. It doesn't make it noticeable. It doesn't do really anything for it. So, like, I'm kind of like, meh.
Well, we were talking before the show, and I mentioned how much I've been digging Bronson Reed lately, and I don't want them to keep that momentum going, like, make us, like, really invested in Bronson Reed. Like, it seems for a while Bronson was, like, second fiddle to Braun Breaker. I want to see that gap close, where they're very similar, but yet different, but still, like, almost on the same level. So, yeah, let's go Bronson.
Yeah, I'm going Bronson. All right. Kabuki Warriors, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley.
I got Rhea Ripley.
Who you got?
I got Rhea and Io. Rhea, I just can't see them having Rhea lose in her own.
So, let me shoot a little schmids of a thought process towards you. So, I think generally when you have multiple people in the PLE for their home countries, not everybody goes over. Right?
That's true.
So you might get a 1 and a 1. So if you think Bronson Reed's going over, odds are Rhea isn't. So that's why I said that, like, that kind of contributed to my whole scenario where it's like, okay, they're doing Kabuki Warriors go over, Rhea's turned into a Smurf again, or a Orion Slave Girl, take your pick, and like, she's incapacitated, and now we get, where they try to take out Io. Kairi Sane has a change of heart. I personally wouldn't pull the trigger here, but you could do it. That all being said, I'm kind of with you. I think Io and Rhea go over.
And I think it's because
just to make.
I think it's because Kairi Sane hesitates to do something to Io, and it costs.
And that would be fine.
And then Io kind of gets back just for, she gets back her win. Going back to Bronson Reed real quick, him being an Aussie, you really think he's going to be a heel in Australia? And how does that affect the response Roman gets in Australia?
I don't think it matters. He'll still get over because it's his home country, and Roman Reigns will get over because he's Roman Reigns. I don't It's one of those weird situations. Like, he's not going to get booed.
Kind of hope they
I
boo
don't
Roman
think.
out of the building and they just go like nuts over everything Bronson does. I think it'd be.
I would like to see it, but I don't think
it'd
that's
be
going to
cool.
happen. I think it'll be like that at first, and then it'll kind of trail off. So who'd you end up taking on the Io Rhea Kabuki Warriors? Good stuff. All right.
Fakir. This is.
I got Fakir.
Yeah. Fakir's got a rocket ship attached to her. Man, don't let that die out. I agree with you a little bit on Tiffany Stratton, and I don't know if it's quality of opponents or what the stories that she's in. Maybe we're just tired of. Maybe we're getting a little bit of Tiffany fatigue. But I think if I think the good story is Fakir winning.
I think so.
Because they've been taught every time the last few weeks that Tiffany's been on, they have to constantly repeat how she hasn't lost since such and such date, that she's been undefeated this year, and how many times she's wrestled this year. So those little key things to me are saying, like, okay, this is a good time for her to get that unbeaten streak knocked down. And it doesn't hurt her because she lost the title.
I think it opens everything up, right? So think about it this way. So Fakir's a new champion. So Fakir going over Stratton, Fakir doesn't have issues finding opponents, right? She's the new girl. She's got to get tested, so to speak. Meaning by other opponents on Raw. Whereas Tiffany Stratton, to our point, her opponents have gotten stale. Well, guess what? If she loses to Fakir, well, it's the world's easiest, it's like promos for dummies. Yeah, you ain't that great. You lost to the newbie on the other show. Yeah. Boom, done. And she's still got the title. Insert opponent here. You know what I mean? For the love of God, no. All right. So, John Cena, AJ Styles. This is an interesting one. I'm curious where you're going to go with this one.
John's going to get his 100th PLE win Saturday night.
Does he get it here or Survivor Series? You got one more PLE.
I know, I was thinking about
this. One more.
Do they want him right at 100 or do they want him like at 101? So
it doesn't matter. He can hit 100 or 101.
Right.
I think 100 matters. He's not gonna hit Undertaker's record. So
isn't Styles is up 2-1, right? Because Styles won.
I don't know.
I think Styles won 2 of the first 3. So
it's all new though. They're both old now.
Yeah.
So it's like
I don't know.
I don't know, but I could see.
I think John goes over and it makes the Aussie fans happy. It gives them a happy moment. Even if AJ wins, they'll be happy. But
Matt, I'm taking AJ.
Okay.
I am gonna take AJ in this one, and here's why. 2 reasons. 1, at Survivor Series, you can get John his 100th win, which matters, right? 2, you put AJ over because, as we mentioned earlier, this is probably AJ's last year. Well, AJ beating John Cena gives AJ leverage. Kind of like how we said it was promo for dummies.
Yeah.
For, Tiffany Stratton losing. AJ Styles winning is like promo for dummies. He's like, dude, I beat the GOAT. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be all that impressive. And it doesn't mean he goes into the world title picture, but it does mean he's legit, right? Like, we can get a couple of better matches out of AJ Styles. Not that I don't like the work that he's doing with Dragon Lee. I want to be clear on that. And him screwing around with opponents in costume will never get old to me. Like janitor AJ Styles, valet AJ Styles. I loved all that stuff in the lead up to the Dom match. So, not complaining.
And I think
I'll take all of it.
I think you're going to see those 2 in the Judgment Day go at it here soon too. So
and you might.
And you might see Dragon Lee in. I think they got to get through because Dragon Lee is Dom's next opponent, right, for the AAA Mega Champion.
Yes. Yep.
So once they get through that,
and then wait, no, I saw something today. Dom's got a match for the IC belt next week. It's not Rusev though. Crap. I don't know who he's got somebody, and I saw something on social media today. It's like Dom and Penta for the IC. Bro, so Dom Penta, I wonder when that match with Dragon Lee is. Oh my God. How great would it be if Penta took the belt off of him?
I mean, he's got commercials now.
He does have commercials. I mean, Dom also, he's got commercials, but they're wing stops, so they're not real wings. And he eats like a bitch. Anyways. Lol. Gotta protect the stash because I put ranch on my chicken wings like a bitch.
Blue cheese only.
Blue cheese is the correct answer for wings. But yeah, so all right, the elephant in the room, Cody Rhodes, Seth. I'm taking Seth all day. I'm taking Seth. I kind of get the argument that people are making, like, oh, it'd be a better story for Seth. I'm like, if you rip that faction apart, you just undid all the work, all of it.
Yeah.
Because even when like Judgment Day, Bloodline was taking lumps and bruises, they still they kind of fought through it, right?
Yep.
Nobody, and it's like, if you're gonna rip the other faction apart that quick, then what was the point?
Please don't.
I'll stand by that. If you kick Seth out, that means Becky goes. So now you got Paul Heyman and a tag team of two goons. And they're rudderless. Like, Paul will direct him, yes, I get that. And they've been dominating, yes. But it loses something, right?
Yeah, you got too many storylines that involves the division, and there's more to come. There'll be secondary and tertiary ones. So, yeah, it's Seth all the way. At 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
I'll catch it when I get up. Honestly, if it's me, I have Seth go on a Holy Terror tour with all three of them. You know how, maybe, I don't know if Bloodline ever did it, but NWO-esque, you know how they would just take over a show? And, every match, you get, a match out, and next thing you know, they come out and they're screwing with somebody in that match, and that match ends in a DQ. And then they go back and they're just wreak havoc on the next match. I'd love that. And you basically just have Seth I slayed my dragon. It is done now.
In the ring, he's got to wear the ring, flash the ring. It'll be good. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good show. And I think we got it pretty evenly spaced between faces and heels. So we didn't go too heel heavy, but it'll be a good show.
I mean, it's weird though, because it's clear heel and face in all matches except for AJ and Cody. They kind of did the AJ and Cena, sorry. But they kind of did the I respect you, you respect me thing kind of deal. Because it's a fantasy booking, so it's well, AJ's not going to be a douche.
Right.
It's just, they got a history. So it's okay, I'll let it go. I'll live with it.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the PLE. We'll see.
As am I.
Yep.
As am I. Matt, it's going to be a great week. Exciting weekend coming up. Good times for everybody. But tell the folks where they can find us.
You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also Instagram. Thank you for your likes and your comments, and we appreciate that. Sean, that's all I got, brother. Till next week.
Man, I just want to thank everybody out there that's engaging with us. I got to thank all y'all, because you know what? It's funny, right? Little inside baseball here. So, obviously, Matt and I just started this podcast just for fun. We were we like talking wrestling. Let's share it with people. And, the first couple of months, we were kind of we're not really getting a lot of engagement. And then, lately, the last month or so, you guys out there have been amazing and really engaging with us, and we love it, and we love to interact with y'all. Look, I'm going to say it right now. There's no wrong opinions in this. We can all differ, and once we talk it out, we'll come up with an even better story. So, if you think my points on Seth are kind of crap, that's cool. But look, anyways, at the end of the day, I just want to thank everybody out there. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank everybody. And we look forward to talking to y'all next week. Everyone, have an amazing freaking week and enjoy Crown Jewel. Talk to y'all later.